Welcome to the deep dive. We take the sources you share with us, plunge right in, and really try to surface the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight, specifically for you.
Yeah.
Today we're tackling something interesting you sent over. It's a deep dive into the details around the sale of a particular digital asset. The domain name, XE.CAPITAL.
That's right. This is really about unpacking the source material you gave us to understand, how this domain is being positioned,
Right.
what the seller claims makes it valuable, who they think the buyer is, and, well, what this tells us about that kind of high-stakes, maybe niche market for premium digital real estate, especially where finance and tech meet.
So our mission for this deep dive seems pretty clear then. Go through this source, get a handle on the seller's pitch for XE.CAPITAL, identify those ideal buyers they're talking about, and just see what this tells us about how branding and these digital assets are valued in this, well, pretty fast-moving space.
Exactly. Think of it like analyzing a prospectus for a piece of digital land, almost. To understand the land itself, sure, but also the neighborhood it's in, at least according to the seller.
Okay, let's unpack this. The main thing is the domain name, XE.CAPITAL. The source says it's up for sale, and right away, they'd hit you with a pretty big pitch.
Oh, they definitely do. The headline's bold. The apex domain for next-generation finance and intelligent capital sort of immediately flags who they're aiming this at.
And that tagline, too, minimal, memorable, monumental. It's aiming for that, sleek, serious feel.
Yeah, that tagline sums up the branding perfectly, doesn't it? Short, impactful, implies weight.
So the source material really spends some time explaining why they think XE.CAPITAL is strategic, not just, a web address. They break it down. First up, rarity. Specifically, two-letter domains.
Yes, they lean hard on scarcity. The source points out there are only, 676 possible two-letter combinations globally?
76. That's it.
That's it. And in the domain world, especially for common extensions, two-letter names are, well, they're like gold dust. Super rare, historically very valuable.
Right, because within that tiny pool, XE.CAPITAL is framed as short, elegant, globally brandable.
Precisely. The argument is a domain this simple, this brief, it communicates precision, intelligence, maybe even a kind of institutional authority, all on its own. It's about that first impression.
Okay, so rarity is the foundation. Then the second big point is what they're calling intelligent branding. This focuses on the XE part having multiple meanings.
Right. This is where they pitch XE as this open canvas, but one with, I think they said, advanced overtones.
Yeah.
The idea is it's flexible enough for different cutting-edge finance ideas.
And they give examples in the source. Cross-exchange, suggesting it fits, like multi-asset trading platforms.
Or Xponential Engine, which is clearly targeting AI-driven investment funds.
There was X-Era Capital, too, for a sort of futuristic angle.
Plus a few others like Xenon Equity, Executive Entity, and more. The strategy seems to be suggest lots of powerful uses, make it appeal to more potential buyers in that high-tech finance zone.
Makes sense.
It's meant to be a brand that can scale and adapt.
Flexible, but still sounds technical or sophisticated.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay, the third point is the TLD itself, the .capital part.
Yeah, they put real weight on the domain extension. The source argues .capital isn't just any extension. It's one trusted by specific financial players.
And they list them out. Hedge funds, venture capital firms, fintech and DeFi protocols, and family offices. Just quickly, DeFi is decentralized finance.
Blockchain-based finance.
Right. And family offices are those private wealth firms for, very wealthy families.
Good clarification, thanks. So the core claim here, according to the source, is that pairing XE with .capital instantly places you in the upper tier of investment credibility.
Right, okay.
It's meant to signal you're a serious player focused specifically on the capital markets.
So rarity, versatile branding, sector-specific TLD. That's the why it's strategic argument. Okay, next, the source gets into specific use cases, like painting a picture of who this is supposedly perfect for.
Yeah, they outline 4 main scenarios. First one, an AI-driven investment platform.
Right, using AI for fund logic, predictive analytics, maybe smart portfolio balancing. The domain's meant to shout cutting-edge AI from the start.
Second scenario, A decentralized capital protocol, or DAO. Now, for listeners maybe less familiar, a DAO is a decentralized autonomous organization.
Community-run, rules on the blockchain.
Exactly. And the source mentions things like multi-chain setups, tokenized investments, LP contracts, that's liquidity provider contracts, treasury governance, even NFT access layers. NFTs being non-fungible tokens, sometimes used for access or rights.
So for something complex like that, you need a clean, sort of institutional-looking digital front door. XE.CAPITAL is pitched as giving that credibility, which is huge in Web3.
Absolutely. Trust signals are vital there. Okay, third use case, a private capital arm or family office.
Here the idea is it's good for a discrete investment vehicle, maybe something global, tech-focused, or doing cross-border deals. They mention it works for real estate, startup equity, or secondaries.
Secondaries meaning like buying existing shares in private companies.
Right. Not from the company directly.
So it's about signaling a modern, maybe tech-savvy approach, even for more traditional wealth structures.
And the fourth one they list is a digital asset intelligence brand.
Yeah, this is about platforms for tracking digital assets, maybe offering investor dashboards, token rating services, judging crypto potential, or algorithmic alerts.
Okay.
And they say it works across crypto, tokenized real-world assets, the whole tokenized finance spectrum.
These use cases seem tightly linked to the target audience they mentioned earlier, showing how the domain solves specific branding needs.
Which, yeah, brings us neatly to those ideal buyers, according to the source. They even have a little summary table.
Right. Top of the list. Hedge and quant funds. Quant funds being those using complex math and algorithms for trading.
And for them, the pitch is XE. Capital is minimal, elite, future-focused. Fits that data-driven, sophisticated vibe.
Then Web3 protocols and DAOs, needing that precise name for tokenized capital stuff.
AI startups needing a clean brand for intelligent finance.
Family offices. The Force talks about quiet wealth meets cutting-edge positioning.
Nice phrase. And lastly, venture studios, who might need a sort of anchor brand for a portfolio or accelerator. It's pretty clear they've thought hard about who pays top dollar for this kind of digital asset.
It's definitely a targeted list.
Okay.
Let's shift gears slightly to the practical side, pricing terms, what's mentioned in the source.
Okay. Asking price stated is $17,000 USD, though they do say offers are welcome from serious buyers.
$17,000, okay. And the payment details are interesting, kind of reflect the market, right? Immediate transfer on payment. And they specifically accept crypto.
Yeah, BTC, ETH, USDT. Which is a clear signal to the Web3 and fintech crowd they're targeting. Makes the whole process potentially smoother for buyers in that world. And it means immediate transfer once the payment's confirmed on the blockchain. They also mention support for setup, configuration, launch prep.
And there's an optional extra, too. A branding and naming consultation package.
Yeah, so they're not just selling the name and walking away. They're offering help to actually use it effectively.
So what do you actually get for the 17 grand base price?
The source lists the exclusive rights to X.Capital, naturally, access to the domain control panel, an ownership verification letter, which could be important for legal stuff or showing investors.
Sure.
And transfer support to get it moved to your preferred registrar.
And then the optional branding help if you want it.
Pretty much. You get the asset and the basic help to take ownership.
The source also has this expert FAQ section, anticipating questions. Some interesting ones there, like, is XE trademarkable? That's pretty crucial.
Yeah, and the answer given is yes. Specifically, XE.CAPITAL as a brand is presented as unique and probably eligible in most places. That's a big deal for anyone building a serious brand.
Definitely. And the question about using it for a crypto project.
They say absolutely. Call it a perfect match for cross-chain, DeFi, tokenized funds, really doubling down on that Web3 positioning.
They also tackle the why is a two-letter domain valuable question head on.
Right, and the answer basically sums up what we discussed. Scarcity, memorability, brand power. Calls it prized digital real estate globally.
And can it be used privately or just redirected? They say yes, works for boutique or institutional funds, and you can forward it or use it for white label branding.
So that confirms it's flexible, not just for public-facing stuff. And they mention the crypto payment again, stressing the speed of transfer.
One last interesting FAQ. Can you resell it later? The source suggests it's an appreciating asset.
Yes, they explicitly say you can resell it and position it as something likely to increase in value as finance gets more digital and algorithmic. So that adds another dimension to the value prop. It's not just useful, it's potentially an investment itself.
Selling it not just as a tool, but as an asset that might grow in value within this specific market.
Okay.
And the source finishes with a final word. What's the main takeaway there?
It wraps up pretty strongly. XE.Capital is not just a domain, it's a global asset built for serious players in capital, innovation, and finance.
And reinforces that it's built to lead for those ventures they described. AI firms, private capital, DeFi infrastructure.
Exactly. It's the seller's closing argument, tying everything together, the strategy, the audience, the value. Looking at the whole picture from this source, it's quite fascinating how they take what's essentially just a digital address
All right.
and market it as this strategic, scarce asset, one specifically designed for that sort of bleeding edge where finance meets AI meets Web3.
Mm-hmm.
The value isn't just technical. It's based on rarity, branding potential, and a really complex market, and this idea that it instantly gives you credibility with a very specific, sophisticated audience.
It really makes you think differently about digital property, doesn't it? It's presented less as just infrastructure and more like, I don't know, a key piece of your brand identity, like your company logo or your office address.
Exactly. Which leads to a thought, maybe for you, the listener, to chew on, based only on what we've heard from this source material today. Considering the arguments they make for XE.Capital's value, the rarity, the versatile branding, the .capital TLD, what does that $17,000 asking price, and the whole detailed pitch tell us about the non-technical value the seller believes is placed on digital identity and branding, specifically within this niche world of high finance, AI, and Web3.
Definitely something to mull over. Well, that's all the time we have for this deep dive. We hope this look into the XE.Capital source material has given you some interesting insights into a very specific part of the digital asset market.